College football is back yet again. That's right. I am here to review College Football 27, brought to you by EA Sports. This game does launch into early access July 2nd and launch fully July 9th. But I am here to mainly talk about the visual representation, gameplay mechanics, and my overall experience with the game. If you want a more in-depth look on it, that's not really something that we're doing right now. We will be doing a go-back on, a little bit of an impressionary video of college football playoffs, the Ultimate Team, as well as Dynasty Mode, because I want to experience those online against other players. I did play a little bit of Dynasty Mode. Now, I did play Road to Glory, and I really loved that. The addition of, the mass addition of customization, as well as them adding in many other elements that are available now in the college football scene. One of the big additions, of course, too, is the focus that they have on the transfer portal. And I think that is something that is needed in the game, of course, multiple times as I was playing Road to Glory. Whenever I did get to a certain point in time at the end of the season, I had the ability of selecting encourage transfer, which would get me the opportunity to get back into the get into the portal and find a new school for me. But that also pops up in Dynasty Mode, which is, I think, a really fascinating aspect of the Dynasty Mode, because depending on the way that you manage your roster and you treat your talent, they could easily jump into the portal and transfer mid-season or whatever. I mean, it really adds a cool dynamic to that. But we're not going to be talking about a lot of that today. We're going to mainly be focusing in on the gameplay mechanics and some of the other visuals that I saw and just what I enjoyed about the game. So the presentation in the game is massively improved. Visuals and stuff like that look fantastic. Playing the game, I really was floored by the presentation increase that they had depending on the college that you choose. It wasn't just in the aspect of like the last year to where it would show the traditions of these mass schools, but it also showcased a really heavy presentation increase whenever it came down to, like, you know, if you were at these big games, you had some of the presentation that you would from these different colleges and repertoires that they kind of built of, like, making their mascot and doing tradition, but also having, like, drones in the sky and all this. It was a really cool visual experience. One thing that I did like as well with the visual experience was the dynamic weather system. Not just in the aspect of visually, but how it changes the gameplay overall. Multiple times as I was playing against, the computer, because I really couldn't play online, getting the copy early, there was a total of, like I said, maybe 3 to 5 people online at the time. It was kind of hard to jump into a game, you know what I'm saying? The dynamic weathering system was really cool because, like, you could go up to 3 quarters and have no rain or snow, but then in the fourth quarter, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, it's kind of light snow, and by the end, it's a massive change that really changes the dynamic of how your players play. And I actually saw that in the negative way by losing a game last minute by dropping the pass because everything was soaking wet. I was so irritated. But the college game day atmosphere really changed. So fans are a really big part of that atmosphere. And you could do, like, whiteouts and blackouts. You could do stripes and checkers. You can actually change this in the team settings whenever you're choosing your team and you're going to, like, change your uniform. You actually get the opportunity of changing what your crowd wears. There's different types of camera angles as well that can be assigned for, like, pre-snap and the broadcasting. There's also a new camera angle as well that features, like, the coach's vision or whatever, kind of like the side angled vision. That's a different type of camera that changes over time. I thought that was really cool. Also, the fact with presentation comes a complete plethora of new type of gear that you can customize your character and have, and it is more kind of up to date in that aspect. So like I said, the presentation has really been overhauled. There's all new mascots in the game, new parts of the stadium that really kind of like pop and get you into the college football kind of mood while you're playing the game. Now moving on to gameplay, this is going to be really our main focus in this review. The gameplay in the game is really tight, and it has really changed a lot. A lot of the aspects of the game, they really listen to fans, and one of the biggest things that I noticed too is the AI in the game is much smarter. I play on Heisman level, and I've done pretty well for myself, I guess, in college football 26. I think right now in the road to the college football playoffs, I think I'm like 13-5. But I will say it is much more of a strenuous task of trying to get some of those really wild and crazy passes and stuff across because of the improved AI with defense. So one of the biggest things that they really kind of focused in on was the coverage. That's something that fans really talked about in the last game. Coverage was one of the biggest things that they kind of focused in on this year, and it has definitely changed. This year, it is the AI is more intelligent. There's more tools that you can use, customize your defense on a constant basis. Instead of you having to do all this mass things before play, like I would always do in 26, of having to change my line arrangement or change what my defense is doing. I can actually change specific players' styles of play. So if I wanted to, if I was playing middle linebacker and I noticed that over the last couple of plays, the quarterback has continued to scramble, I can actually change him independently to do scramble or to just watch the quarterback with a really quick kind of shift of key instead of having to go in and push all these buttons beforehand and kind of over-convolute the process. It's a lot more kind of dialed down this time to where it's more simplistic and more easy for you to change the style of play for your defense. One of the big things, too, is that there's a lot more kind of a focus in on player choice whenever it comes down to playbooks. There's more playbooks in the game than ever before, but you can also really do a lot with the different types of tools they added. They added many more tools this time around. They have the double team, which automatically brackets users into selected receivers. They have the roll coverage, which shifts coverage to help towards specific targets. Crossman coverage, which returns for improved matchup handling, improved route commitment with win percentage, rewards correct defense commitments more consistently. This affects your breaks in both man and zone coverage, which is something that is a really big improvement, because there's a lot of times in 26 that I would actually select certain plays and I'm like, I know the way that I set up my coverage in the defense, I know for a fact there is no possible way they're going to get yardage on me. And multiple times I would have the complaint of, dude, the guy is just standing there. What is he doing? But with that improved AI, we have seen a massive improvement. I saw it myself. My cornerbacks and my linebackers are doing better coverage on a consistent basis with this improvement, and I was very glad to see that. Gameplay overall is very smooth, very fast-paced. I really did like the implementations of what they added to the game with this improved AI. As I said, too, with this review, one of the big things, too, that I really liked, that I mainly want to focus on, is just the overall feel of the game. It really feels like we've seen such a mass improvement over the last few years. Coming from somebody, as I said, that has played college football since its conception, there's so many new improvements that are in this game that translate into helping you better represent your football knowledge while you're playing the game. And it doesn't make you seem like you're just pushing buttons or whatever. But really, one of the big things is the fact that you can change individual play styles per player. You could do this however you want to. And you can also get on create and share menu and create your own custom adjustments, which I thought was really fascinating. It's so in-depth, too. It's not something that I really thought was a major thing that they were going to do over time. But they have more realistic kind of wide receiver to DB press coverage. They've got a larger plethora of defensive playbooks. Intelligent AI is one of the biggest things. So with the ball carrying of this aspect, it is so much more improved running with more realistic and instinct while you're actually playing the game is something that I really noticed. There was times that I'd play 26 or even 25, and I know for a fact that the way that I'm playing and what I chose as a play, I should be able to get a really good yard coverage with the running play that I chose or the quick pass that I chose. And there's a lot of times that either the character would drop the ball or the way that I'm like trying to run out and juke and, spin or jump over certain characters, I just wouldn't make it. It'd be like there would be somebody that I've been playing online and they would jump, 5 yards towards me and somehow they would get over there and trip me up. This time around, it is way more realistic of whenever it comes down to like how those characters feel while you're controlling them. If you get someone like Ohio State and you're using their running back, you know that their running back, their mainline starter, is super fast. They're going to be able to do more than some of these other characters on a constant basis. So you know that if you have the right play, you chose the right blocking path or whatever, you're actually going to be able to do a good, significant amount of yardage on a continuous basis, depending on what you choose or who you're playing against, of course. But I really feel like there's an overall improvement on gameplay because of these implementations. And I feel like they have constantly improved. It's like every year they take what fans say and they ball it all up and just shove it down in the blender and like, let's pull it. let's pour it directly into the game. Whatever they want is what they're going to get. So Road to Glory is something that I somewhat played. You can port your high school character in such a different way. I said port, I'm sorry. You could change your high school character in such a different way than what you did before. There's 3 brand new positions available. You have the edge rusher, you have the safety, and you have the tight end. Now, I haven't played as these characters as of yet to really see the type of implementations that they have. I usually, whenever I do play Road to Glory, I always play as a quarterback. I don't know why, but I do. I really wanted to see an implementation, though, of like a defensive tackle or a guard or something like that. I'm a really big lineman guy. I was a lineman back in high school, and I really wanted to see that. But I can understand why they only chose tight end, because tight end, you get those blocking elements, but you can also run out for a pass and have more dynamic plays than just standing at the line every single time. But the Road for Glory was good. I mean, I think it was it felt... Though there was a big change in the sense of like giving you extra styles of play. The big thing that I really noticed was the presentation of this game. It looks better. It feels better than ever before. I feel like gameplay and gameplay presentation is something that really kind of ties in to add if you don't have a good gameplay mechanic, a good presentation just in general, I feel like it really kind of takes you out. That's not to crap on any other football games that are out there, but it doesn't feel the same as something like this. Like college football is a massive, massive game that adds really good gameplay mechanics and really good presentation, better than they ever have before. Something else that I really like, Mascot Mashup has officially returned. You get a total of 10 mascots you could choose from at first, and you can eventually, over time, unlock a total of 120 mascots by doing simply by getting into Play Now and with those teams that you have locked or whatever, and playing and winning those games. Then you have the opportunity of playing as that mascot. All mascots have max stats too. That's one of the craziest things. So you get all different type of personality with them. Pre-play, they're out there like doing flips on and cartwheels and stuff. Or you'll have even moments to where like whenever I was playing, I think as Georgia, or I was playing as the University of Indiana. I can't remember which one I was playing as, but after hiking the ball, I go to throw the ball, and then I realize he's not throwing the ball normal. He's actually serving it up like he's playing volleyball. So he like gets it in one hand, throws it in the air, hits it with his fist. It's really crazy. The one thing that I did kind of miss with that, though, is I wish there was like, since it was such a wild and wacky style of play, I wish there was like more in-game music as they're going on, kind of like that you would see in like Ultimate Team. But the overall aspect of this game is really, really improved. There's a lot that has been done with this game. The gameplay mechanics are much tighter. As I said, the AI implementations in this game and upgrades in this game have been really, really improved. I see that my wide receivers catch better. Now, one thing that I did notice too is the user catch aspect has been really implemented as like you have to catch the ball perfectly. If you no more of this just you jumping up, and I play it on PlayStation, so jumping up or like hitting circle to switch and then pushing triangle right whenever the ball's there and, oh, okay, he's going to catch it. No, you have to actually catch it at the right time, right placement. And if you don't have your arrow or whatever in a certain exact area, then there's a big possibility that you're not going to catch the ball. Now, a lot of these type of elements you can turn off to make your experience a little different, but I feel like it kind of adds a little bit more of that difficulty whenever it comes down to using or doing the user aspect of the game. But there's a really big deal with this game, and I've got to say the new schools that they've added in, the new AI and gameplay mechanics really do change the overall aspect of the game. Now, whenever it comes down to presentation, as I said, dynamic weather is really great. They got new broadcasters. They got Joel Klatt and also Holly Rowe in there as well that kind of add a little bit more in-depth aspects of games and players and stories. They actually bring up certain things that happened in college football, like news, over the last 2 years. They'll bring up more in-depth kind of back history of certain players and stuff. It really kind of made the game kind of feel almost too realistic. And then, of course, having the Heisman Award presentation in the game now is something that's really cool and unique. But I'm going to have a little bit more in-depth review of mainly Ultimate Team and the road to college football at a later date. But right now, I've got to say I've really enjoyed my time with college football. I like the dynamic weather system that they've added, the gameplay implications that they've kind of pushed into this year of having better AI, better coverage, better customization of what you do and how you do it on the field is really crazy. The fact that I don't just have to sit there and do the same exact thing of trying to run through and push as much as I can depending on what they've changed their play to. If I'm on defense, even if I'm on offense, I can use my controller in such a more simplistic way this time around of changing certain things. The custom adjustments really are a big deal. I feel like I had more control over my team, and it meant more whenever I made those adjustments, and I actually saw it kind of play out on the field a bit better than what I previously would in the last college football game. My coverage was way better around the just overall aspects. I mean, there was so many times that it made more sense whenever I would call certain plays and actually see my DBs and my linebackers and stuff do what we chose and not just stand there aimlessly in the backfield. Even on offense, I feel like my wide receivers and my custom adjustments actually improved my gameplay this year instead of just being kind of like, okay, I've got to make something out of nothing. So visually, it was great. Gameplay is very smooth, very fast-paced. I really think a lot of people are really going to enjoy this. The Dynasty mode is, of course, very much improved. We'll talk about that at a later date, as well as the Ultimate Team aspect of the game and college football playoffs. So I didn't get to really play a lot of these modes because, as I said, I didn't have access to a lot of online capabilities. We got the game early enough that there was nobody online. Like I said, I think at one point in time I got on there and said there was 3 people online. So I'm like, I can't play that. But I did really like the implementations of the dynamic weather. That was one of my main things too, outside of the really big, heavy push with better AI that you have, the plays that you call actually feel like they mean something now. So I'm going to give the game at this point in time a 4.5 out of 5. I think that they've really done a great implementation of artificial intelligence that really helps your character feel more realistic and human. As I said, I know that they have talked about this continuously over the last few weeks since the original reveal, but I really feel like a more added kind of depth of choice whenever it comes down to Road of Glory would have been cool. That's something that was somewhat kind of depressing to me. That, yes, I understand the tight end is a character that you can use that does blocking, but I want to build a career as a defensive character or offensive character, like a defensive line character or offensive line character. I don't know. That's just me. And I feel like the mascot mashup was really great. I think it was really fun, but adding something like music and making it kind of more, I feel like adding music into that. I don't know. Maybe they're going to add music or something, or just in the games that I was getting in, there was no music. But there's not really a representation of there wasn't broadcasters that were on the game. There wasn't like music in the background. I feel like it would have really kind of made that kind of element of the game a little bit more fast-paced and fun. We'll update the score in the next few days, maybe by Friday, or not this Friday, but let's say by Tuesday. We'll update the review with our thoughts on college football playoffs as well as Ultimate Team and a more in-depth kind of feel on Dynasty mode. So we'll talk to you soon. Like I said, as of now, we're giving it a 4.5 out of 5. Please make sure to check us out for more news, more reviews, and coverage from all kinds of stuff. Peace out.